Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to, of course, another episode of Peace Talk. We are on episode 175. And yeah, we have a very, very awesome guest for you today. Definitely excited about this one. Yeah, I'm not going to have too much of an introduction. Without further ado, I'd like to present to you Astrologer, babe. How you doing?
What's up, Mike? It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
No problem. I remember Team Rabbit Hole. He was talking to me. He said that you guys had spoken before. He had mentioned you, and I
Oh,
thought
that's awesome.
when he had
Yeah.
my bad. I was when he had mentioned you. He had mentioned you were Gemini, and I did not know that. I was like, oh my god, I gotta reach out for sure.
Yeah. Aw. Well, I love that you're Leo.
Oh no, I'm also Gemini too.
Wait, what? I thought you were Leo.
My South
Where
Node.
did where did I get that from? My South Node's in Leo too. Okay, so you're 33. We were born the same year.
So you're also 1990.
I'm 90, baby. And so then you were born 2 months after me. I was supposed to be born July 1st, but I was born June 1st. So I hit that Gemini a month early. So
Wow.
yeah. So we're
Damn.
both Leo South Node. Then
Yeah.
you're also Leo Midheaven.
No, I'm Taurus rising,
You're
but
Taurus
so
rising.
you're Scorpio rising.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That's
Mm.
interesting. I was born June 11th, actually, 10 days later.
Okay, my sister was born June. My sister and my uncle were born June 10th. Both my parents are
Wow.
also Gemini, so I was born
No
June 10th.
way. You
My
got, oh my
whole
God.
family is Gemini. I
Surrounded by
know.
angels. I love that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
My mom's a Gemini. My youngest sister is Gemini moon.
What?
Yeah. No, that is mind blowing. I didn't expect that's really because 1990 is a year that is very the 90s period, like it's nice to feel us coming into our power, we blossoming, our Saturn returns. And I don't know too many people who are born the same year as me like that personally, so that's just
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I kind of feel similar. Where like I feel like we've kind of been dispersed, and it's like
Yeah,
the light team, our age doesn't really connect, and it seems to be connecting now, which I find
right.
really interesting.
Which is cool if you think, Capricorn energy usually takes 30 years to really kick off, and we're all kind of coming of age right now. But I'm
Hmm.
really I'm really interested now because knowing we have the opposite rising signs, that's a pretty really fascinating dynamic. And
Yeah.
what do you feel about being a Gemini with the Scorpio moon?
Oh, so
I
so
mean
you mean
Scorpio,
do you mean
really.
Scorpio rising? Yeah. What Gemini Scorpio rising? I think that's a nice pairing. I think Gemini and Scorpios go together, like they jive together pretty well. I don't know like why that is, but I've always felt like a connection to Scorpios. They just, I mean, obviously because of my Scorpio rising,
Yeah.
but I see like, you see the photos of like Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder
Mhm.
and like how they were like just so connected in like all those celebrity shots of them when they were
Yeah.
dating. And yeah, there's something like really lighthearted about when Gemini and Scorpio energies come together. I find that it gives me kind of an edge, obviously, because Scorpios are edgy.
Very edgy. They're
Yeah,
one of the four edge lords to me for
the
sure.
edge lords.
Yeah, most definitely. So, like, I know as a Taurus rising, my son's in the second house. The way I've kind of experienced that is, I manifest that word. I get paid to literally talk with people. But I'm
Mm.
wondering, what's it like to be in the eighth house?
Yeah, yeah. My Gemini sun is actually 11 degrees in the seventh, but whole sign, I guess that would put me in eighth house, right? Whole
Yeah.
sign. So like eighth house,
So you're like late Gemini, you're late Scorpio rising.
yeah, well mid. I'm I think I'm 17. Am I 17? Yeah, 15 degrees Scorpio rising, 17
So you're
degree
right
ascendant.
next to Pluto
Yeah, my Pluto's in my 12th
rising.
house
That's
there.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that. Someone asked Gemini angels. Yeah, just to clarify, a-
Yeah.
angel means messenger, and Gemini is the messenger of the zodiac. So, it's that's one thing I've really come to see through Gemini moon, Gemini rising, Gemini sun. Like, we're angels. It's a very angelic. Aquarius is more celestial, but just the spreading of that message is just
Hmm.
very inspirational. And as far as like kind of with Pluto and Aquarius, just awakening more of the magic behind that, the magic of the words. Really cool.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so cool. So I guess to answer your question, like eighth house sun, I
yeah.
mean, I already have my, well, then I guess if we're doing whole sign, then I have my Jupiter and Chiron conjunct in the ninth.
Oh,
And then
nice.
it's sort of like, um, yeah, my life, is constantly a transformation. Like it's just every day is a new day, a new birth for me, like it takes a lot to really phase me, to really
Right.
like get me, like riled, where it's like, oh, that's happening. Okay, yeah, of course.
Especially with Pluto, like Pluto on the rising and Sun in the eighth house, to me looks like X-ray vision. It's like you just can see and hear through the lies people tell themselves, or just like whether they're good or bad. And it's
Yeah, no doubt.
fascinating, very fascinating.
Yeah, it's almost like a little bit too much to me sometimes, where it's
Very
like,
intense.
yeah, it almost makes me feel like I'm like, oh damn, like I know too much.
Oh, right, right. You pick up so much information. And then how with Gemini, like I think because it's a kid vibration, like a 7-year-old vibration, I think people kind of assume we don't get certain nuances. I think we have an ability to just kind of look like we don't get certain things and not say anything. Not like it's just us that does that, but
Right.
I notice that a lot. It's very easy to kind of be
And the
underestimated.
and the Taurus placements too, like I have Mercury and Venus in Taurus, so I
Right.
resonate with your rising, where it's like it takes me longer to process things, I think, with that placement. Um, like I really take my time to think. And I also have Virgo on the 29th degree, my Virgo moon.
Also, your
Um,
moon's in Virgo.
my moon's in Virgo at the 29th, yeah.
29-degree moon in Virgo. Oh
Yeah. And
my
it's
goodness.
opposing my Mars. Yeah. It's wild, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my Pluto's
Mars
opposing my
and Pisces.
Mercury.
Okay. And then
What's that?
so Mars in Pisces, and then Pluto in Scorpio opposite the Mercury. Yeah, the Venus opposite Pluto has definitely been a lesson. I mean, I like the double dignity. We get both of that, but have you experienced that too? And just like super
Oh
intense
man.
sexual tension and
The
kind of
man, yeah, the man that I actually have been dating for over a year now, we share the Pluto Venus opposition, and it
oh,
has been the deepest freaking
ooh,
karmic lessons, lots of passion. He's a basically an Aries stellium.
the Aries. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
like that. Aries and Gemini are really solid together. It's a very loyal connection.
It's super loyal. I'm actually surprised by that.
Yeah, I've seen it with Kanye and Consequence. Uh, Takeoff and Quavo did their album before Takeoff passed. It's like
Oh wow.
it's really dope. I love the two individuals coming together, building something on their own. I really love that connection a lot. It's very mind blowing. Oh my god, 29. I know my moon's 23 cap, but
Oh
29,
nice.
my moon is my Mercury is 29 degrees Taurus, but like 29 degrees of the moon in Virgo, like what is that? Like you definitely pick up a lot then for sure. You feel
Dude, yeah, I'm sensitive, really
right.
sensitive, as you can
Mars
imagine.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. I think what it's really leading me to now, like I'm kind of experiencing this culmination through the esoteric studies that we're so
Yeah.
passionate about with astrology, where I'm diving into astrological herbalism now. And so there's this like activation of interest in medical intuition now. So I
Yeah.
think like working in this arena, intuitively over the past 5 years, being able to pick up on those nuances has always come pretty easily.
That reminds me of That makes me think of Chiron near your ninth house. So it's like inbreeding healing into how you teach. Jupiter in the ninth too, I would suggest would mean like very gifted at teaching. But I like that too because I have Saturn in the ninth, and then you have
Mm,
Jupiter in the ninth. So
yeah,
right, kind of like flips. I guess I would take a much more serious or grounded approach. Well, we would both be grounded, but I guess
for sure.
you
I
know,
feel like, and with your cat moon as well, like I feel like that's so good to have for us being born around the time we were born to have those
yeah,
Capricorn placements
yeah.
for Gemini. So
Oh,
pivotal. Like my mom is a an Aquarius moon and rising with Gemini.
Aquarius
shout
moon
out
and
shout
rising.
out to my mom.
High
Shout out to my
queen.
mom if she's listening. Yeah.
Aqua risings are high queens. She's high nobility. I love that.
She is for sure.
High, very creative. Shay,
Hmm.
welcome to God Squad. I see you've just joined. We're welcome to have you. Um,
Aloha.
yeah, this is very amazing. There's a lot I want to really ask you around the development. For example, 2020 was when Saturn returned in Capricorn. I personally
Hmm.
didn't really feel complete or where I was taking my life until that happened. And
Hmm.
now that it's in Pisces, I feel like that 60-degree angle, like we activated the return in Cap, Aquarius, it started to manifest, and now it's blossoming. Do you feel like
Yeah.
those powers blossoming as far as the
Oh my, oh my God. I mean, just the way that Jim Kincaid came around and found me like through a mutual friend of ours on
shout out to
Instagram.
you, Jim.
Shout out and like out of the blue, like to
Yeah.
talk about divine order and divine connection. And he's also a Gemini,
He is,
right?
yeah. I'm surprised I
He's
haven't
a
interviewed him yet. He has to get an episode here.
oh
He's
my gosh.
he's
Yeah,
so
you guys for sure. And
yeah.
yeah, and he I think he's Leo rising or Leo moon or both.
Okay.
And yeah, man, I definitely agree with you. Like I remember that that conjunction at the beginning of 2020 with Saturn, and was it Saturn and Uranus that came together on that auspicious day at the beginning of January? Who what was it
Yeah.
that came together? Yeah, Saturn and Uranus. I remember the day like looking out the window and like feeling just
Mm,
such a deep shift within myself. And I was really involved on Maui with body autonomy during that time. Like when there was the pandemic and the lockdowns, I was big on that involvement. It just felt like a calling, like that couldn't be ignored within me. So it was like I was doing obviously the spiritual work that we do, like where we're trying to show up to our passions and gifts. But I felt like all of a sudden it was like this was what we were born for, the beginning of these awakenings.
oh, absolutely. I see. I like our position too because it's right. It's to me, it feels like us to 94 were like the very end of that old world, and then 95 and beyond. It's like we passed the torch and kind of lead the way. And then with you being with his sun in Aries, that makes me think with if my rising is opposite, I might get with a Libra or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
anyway,
especially with this eclipse coming around the corner, with everything going on with Venus and Uranus, I just feel like it's divine unions, for many of us.
absolutely. I know with my Mars and Aries, I'm very reckless towards action. Like I'll cut the line, or I'll just, before I can think, I've already done it. What's it like with Pisces? Obviously, at the end, you must be very creative.
Well, I'm very creative. It's interesting because I was so connected to my Placidus placement of Mars at the first degree in Aries
Yeah,
in my fifth, but now, like tuning
that's your
into my whole
Plastic.
sign. Yeah,
So it shifted
like
the degree.
it it didn't, I think it's still the degree is the same, but I think that it is still like let me take a look.
So it's your Mars is 1 degree Aries.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was at the okay.
I'm actually on par with you with Mars.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. 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 Yeah.
But but yeah, I think like I still have the resonance with what's going on with Saturn and Venus
Hmm.
in that fourth house Pisces area of my chart, where it's like I do feel deeply creative. I do feel just so sensitive.
Yeah.
But I think there's a physical activation going on for that Mars and Aries placement, for
Yeah.
us,
With
where
the
it's
knowledge
like,
too.
Yeah, and Chiron and everything. I just think like that energy is really helping all of us, even if we're not Aries suns.
Well, now we see the attraction, the desire towards the Aries sun as well, or just Aries placements, which are really cool. Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I mean that's really awesome as far as like
Mm,
being born 10 days apart. That's really really cool. Uh,
that is so cool.
yeah.
And I
No
was
one
actually born exactly 1 month early. I was supposed to be born on July
in July
1st.
1st. Yeah,
And
you're
so I
like I don't
was
want to be a Cancer.
frozen. I was like, yeah, I was like, that. Nope, that's not happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
God was like, nah, she's coming and she's got to do this.
Yeah. Wow. Well, where are you located?
I'm in Maui, Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah,
Okay.
where are you? Are you in LA?
Vegas. I'm in
You're in
Las
Vegas. Okay,
Sin
cool.
City, the desert.
I feel like, do you feel that connection there? Like you belong there right now?
I mean, I kind of feel like a free agent as far as like um I finished college out here. I did 2 seasons of the Midheaven podcast with Candace. She moved to Texas, so I'm not
Nice.
really kind of stuck here, but I do
Mm-hmm.
feel like I do want to start something here. If I before I left, I'm kind of like not attached too much, but I do feel it's crazy because when I moved to El Paso from New Jersey, it was
Mm-hmm.
2009, right? And then 7 years later, I moved to Las Vegas, and now it's 7 years later. So it's like I don't know, it might be
Oh,
time.
interesting. Your
Yeah.
7 year cycle, maybe. And also, I don't know if you know this, but I am also from New Jersey.
Right. I that's
Where,
crazy.
what part of Jersey are you from?
Um is your you is before I answer that, your is that where you met your partner in Hawaii or New Jersey?
Yes, yes, Hawaii.
So
Yeah.
is he from Hawaii or is he
No, what's interesting actually is his folks are from Utah and the Las Vegas kind of area.
Oh,
He's
nice. That's
from
awesome.
he's from Utah. So
Okay.
he was always like, yeah, we could go to Utah, we could go to Vegas.
I love that. Um
Yeah.
yeah, I the first 4 years of my life, I was born in Phoenix. Then at like one, I moved to New York. My sisters were born in New York, and we moved to Jersey at 4. So we
Okay.
moved to Orange, New Jersey.
Okay. I was from Monmouth County, so like the
Mom.
shore area.
Oh,
So
okay.
Orange is that north
That's a
or
good
south?
question. It's a bit close. It's close to Newark and Irvington,
Okay.
and then I went
Okay,
to high
yeah.
school in East Brunswick.
Okay, so I lived in Newark before I moved out here. Um, but Monmouth County, like Red Bank area, is south of Newark and New
South
Brunswick.
Jersey. Okay.
Yeah.
New Brunswick. I know New Brunswick is kind of close to East Brunswick.
Yeah, that's a bit north of where I grew up, but not too far. It's only about probably like 35, 40 minutes.
Oh, word. Okay. I haven't been to
Yeah.
Jersey in forever. Like I never got
Yeah.
to experience Jersey as an adult, like to go to
Oh,
to
yeah.
go out or go to the bar or whatnot. So
Oh, yeah. Asbury Park is a nice area if you ever head out there.
Ashbury Park, all
For
right.
that. As Asbury Park, it's where Bruce Springsteen
Asbury
resides
Park.
and is from. Kind
Nice.
of made his break.
That's awesome. Yeah, I went to school in West Orange, to like Catholic school when I was a kid before high school in East Brunswick. And then I lived a
So
couple years in or, what's it called? Not Camden, Bergen County, I think. Clifton.
Camden, not Clifton. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought you meant Camden at first. Yeah, Clifton, I know. Um,
I heard Camden's still dangerous.
that's yeah, it is. Another synchronicity too is that I grew up in Catholic school as well. So I don't
Oh,
know,
no way.
something about that era. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what's
yeah.
I get that. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't go to a public school until 8th grade, and that was when things definitely changed. But okay, wow, I love that. So also from New Jersey, I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
What inspired you to become an astrologer, babe?
Thank you for that. Yeah, actually, the tail end of the pandemic. a friend of mine. Her name is Shelby Hosanna. She is the CEO owner of an online dating site called Unjected,
Okay.
which is a dating site for people who are unvaxxed. And her and
Oh,
I were
nice.
yeah, her and I were working together during the rallies, just fighting for that body autonomy and that freedom and that
Yeah.
that freedom of speech during that time. And she's incredibly creative. She's also a Gemini and a business owner. And so
Nice.
why don't you just let's look up names on Instagram. And so we started researching. She's like, is Astrology Babe taken? And I was like, I looked it up and it was like Astrology Babe was taken. So I was like, Astrologer Babe, that's what I'm going to be. And so Astrologer Babe kind of became a culmination of, these past 5 years on Maui where I've really been expressing myself with the psychic work, working in different spas and centers on island, just like doing Reiki and teaching yoga and offering mediumship work and doing card readings. And then, astrology was always there in the background for me. My mom always had astrology books. She took me to my first psychic when I
Oh,
was
that's so
18.
awesome. So,
And
oh my God, I love this. I love this. No, please
yeah,
keep going. Please keep going. Because I
yeah.
got
So yeah, so my mom, actually like the feminine, just intuitive line in my family has always been so strong, and it was one of those things where like my mom was like always super into it, and she was always sort of like on that edge of apprehension when I started to like wake up and tap deeper into my
Mm,
gifts. And I would sometimes share stuff with her, and it would freak her out, And there were several experiences I had as a kid where I would have dreams or make predictions, and yeah, pretty wild journey getting here, but I'm very grateful. And it's just been ever since I claimed, that name and have felt that support from my friends in this area. It's just sort of been, I would say, a slow and steady awakening of connecting with like-minded people like
yeah.
yourself in these areas. And I actually, what really sparked this initial process was finding David Palmer's work about 5 or 6 years ago, and really just seeing what he was capable of and what he created, and feeling that inspiration and just the way in which he
Right.
carries himself in the world and is leading so many.
Another
And
edge
so
lord.
another edge lord. And so I
Yeah.
actually I give a lot of my inspiration and my credit to him, because really he's fought for so long for the
Yeah.
light team,
Yeah.
and he's so like
Pioneer.
resilient. He's so resilient, and so like I think he really gave me the inspiration and the strength to really believe in astrology as a passion, to know that it's giving us the keys and the codes to really enter into these individual missions that we're all here to embody.
Yeah.
And I just like now, like on Instagram and stuff, like whenever people are posting stuff about, being on edge about what's true or untrue about astrology and whether or not it's real, um, I feel like there's what I'm seeing now is like all of us really banding together. And it's
Mm.
something that I think
The
I've been
Avengers.
missed. The
Yeah.
Avengers are banding together, and I just feel like this is like literally my dream come true. Like being on
Yeah.
your show right now is literally my dream. This is my dream come true. Like
Oh, that's awesome.
connecting with you guys, and it's just I'm truly humbled, that I'm here, because a few years ago I was like, you know what, I want to be up there with the best of the best, even though I might be doing things differently than others. I want to be included in this circle. So here we
Being a
are.
conversation. I love that. And I like to credit the Leo King with really kind of pioneering and taking it to the next level, kind of pushing it in a way that it hasn't been done before. I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
Nah, I agree.
And keeping that high quality. Like he can definitely talk his shit as far as that's concerned. He's that's one thing. Like if I ever had a issue with David, the one thing you will never hear me say is that he's not good at astrology. He is nice. you'll never
Yeah.
you'll never
Yeah,
hear me say
no, exactly. Like, I don't know if you recently saw this psychologist, Adam Grant. He made a reel or a video about, he was basically saying astrology wasn't real, from a really like basic stance, like with no knowledge behind him.
the
And
psychologist.
yeah, a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I actually don't even, I'm not very clear on which one he is exactly, but Harvard grad. And I
Mhm.
went back and did some research on him, and he had done a peer review basically calling all astrologists narcissists and unintelligent narcissists. And so Leo King and like a bunch of other astrologers saw this, and I even made a reel and responded, and I was just like,
They've been trying to
like
push that. Have you ever seen that meme where it's like studies show that people who study astrology aren't that smart, or they're, and it's like only your choir is believing that. Like they're trying to make fetch happen, and I like this because the more they try and demonize it, the more people are going to be into astrology. So it's
yeah,
kind of ironic.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. I think it's definitely like an exciting time for astrology and for us as like
yeah.
passionate intuitives. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be backlash no matter what you do in life. So we're
And I'm
ready.
we're part of that, to bring the light and education. And like David has said, you either know astrology or you will. One thing that you said that gave me chills, though, you got the Scorpio rising, I got the opposite Taurus rising. So I want to ask
Yeah.
you about your relationship with the nodes, because your mother was supportive about astrology. My Gemini mother and I have always kind of been at odds. Like she has never been, and she's raised me traditionally Christian, which I feel like
Yeah.
the moon Saturn ninth house. Like she was my conservative, like very, strict. We have nothing but love for each other. I deeply
Mm,
respect that woman, but it's just we definitely disagree when it comes to how to see astrology. She's definitely a much more traditional in her approach. She believes in like magic and stuff, but she feels like it's witchcraft, that it's
yeah.
outside. And I needed to be taught that, you know what I mean? It was part of my lesson. And I have North Node in the 10th. Obviously, we have Aquarius North Node. So the South Node, fourth house, was where my family held me back. Like if I listened to
Mm,
my family, I would not be here. I had to literally be the one to kind of leave the house and make this happen.
mm,
So how is that for you? Since the North Node is probably going to be in your fourth house, does that
yeah. Yeah, thank you for this question. I'm finding it interesting to hear. So you're saying your Cap Moon is in your ninth conjunct or like near your Saturn sort of.
it's right,
Um,
it's 23 moon and then 24 Saturn.
oh wow, so okay. Yeah, so then that I mean for me the feeling I have, with the moon being connected to the feminine and the mother, that would make me feel like the mom in your life was maybe approaching you from almost like a fatherly or a masculine kind of approach, like
Absolutely.
very strong, like very like Saturnian, which is so interesting to hear that you have a conjunct Saturn as well, which
She
would make
works
it just
every day. She gets up in the
yeah.
morning, comes back late, pediatrician, like every, I
Oh
got
wow. Oh, she's PG here. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I guess like
Saturn Aquarius.
the difference, but there was a similarity, I find my mom is such an interesting individual in that, we have such a religious family, like and a blended religious family as well, where like I was raised Catholic by my mother's side, but my father's side of the family was also Jewish. So
Oh,
there was this really interesting kind of battle going on within my family with religion. So there was always a strictness when it came to like our studies and like making sure that we got A's in religion. But like there was a line with my mom growing up as far as like how esoteric or far out there I could be, where like she presented it's been a beautiful walk and journey with my mom with the psychic stuff, but there was always like a line that I would push because I was experiencing so much that would kind of freak her out. Like when I started seeing spaceships when I was 21, um, I told her about it and she was like, "Don't talk to me about that." Like she just like couldn't handle it. And
yes.
now, here I am on Maui many years later. I was married and divorced. I moved away from home. I kind of did a similar thing to you in that I separated from my family at a time and really freaked them out.
Oh,
And I'm sure they had, long modes of time where they thought I was probably like mentally ill or something because I had just decided to break away completely from the what was a seeming indoctrination of what I was experiencing.
yeah.
And so now, like I was even telling her about coming onto your podcast earlier, her and I have a really good working relationship now, but it's been a long
Nice.
time coming. And
Okay.
so she obviously, follows me on social media and is in full support, wants the best for me overall.
Okay.
And I think she's really coming around now because there's there's this full circle energy that I feel like you always speak to in your magic moon messages, in the ways in which you channel information with
Right.
astrology, that when you speak about the harvest, this harvest time that we're entering into,
Yeah.
I feel like it correlates to what everyone is feeling intuitively, but also like what's happening in astrology and in human design with like the raves and like the year 2027 with maybe projector energy people kind of having this full circle recognition moment in life.
Are you a
And
projector?
so I'm a projector. What are you?
Projector.
You're a freaking projector. I knew I like had this feeling. I was like, his energy like really matches mine. I'm like, I wonder
Wow.
if he's a projector. Are you 6'2"?
6'4".
Okay, I'm 6'2".
Yeah. I think I'm
Yeah.
self-projected authority. I wonder what 6'2" is like.
So if you're 6'4", you're heretic, and what's the six represent again? Is that role model or
Yeah.
hermit? Your role model. Okay, so you're role model and hermit, and I'm role model. Or I'm sorry, I'm role model and hermit. You're role model and heretic.
Heretic. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So this is as you've been saying, this is our harvest time, and my
Yeah.
mom is a manifesting generator. Actually,
Oh,
my feeling is my whole immediate family is different energetics than we are. Projectors really are like the black sheep of the families. So if you happen to be
actually,
lucky, if you
yeah.
happen to be yeah, if you happen to be lucky and you're like born into a family of a couple of projectors, you're like doing pretty well. But like when you're surrounded by man gens or generators, it's a little bit more of a challenge to connect energetically. When like my mom was up all night like vacuuming outside my window because she's burnt, or outside my bedroom door because she's burning off her energy, and I'm just trying to sleep because I'm exhausted. It's like, hey mom, my psychic channel is a little bit overdone right now. And so there's a little bit of a bridge gap there, but she's always been like, at least the door is cracked open. She was the one who was like, she took me to my first psychic. So have to
So
thank my mom.
my mom is also a manifesting generator. That's
For
crazy.
real.
I can
Yeah.
hear it. Holy shit.
Wow, we have so much synchronicity. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
That's why I was like, wow, like I didn't expect for you to be Gemini and then also 1990 with the
And
opposite.
and I forgot, I don't know why, but like when I saw you and David together, I just like thought y'all were both Leos because you jive so well. I was just like I was just like, look at these Leos, like just like freaking owning their thrones, you know what I mean? But South Node Leo would
Yeah.
give us that kind of,
Have
self-confidence and charm.
so I experienced that in grade school headlining in plays. Like I was Ebenezer Litterbug for Earth
Oh,
Day.
what?
And I didn't realize at the time that's the Leo energy. Like we're performing and we're doing that. How did it feel for you as far as how to use your South Node?
Yeah, thank you for this. I love that we have the Leo South Node. I think I'm really grateful for that part of my chart. I started dancing when I was really young, so I've been dancing and have been a dance performer my whole life.
Oh,
Um, so I
nice. That's
so
so
I
awesome.
started Thanks. So I started doing ballet when I was a kid, and that was, pretty strict alongside the Catholic school. But as I got older, I started to get into the hip hop scene, and my
Nice.
mom my mom took me to a dance studio that had a hip hop troupe, and I started to learn street dance, and man, that street dance hip hop saved my life.
That's so
Like,
crazy.
it saved my life, and I
Was this
still to this
around like
day.
was this around when you were like 15, 16, 17? That was
Yeah.
around the time I listened to Kanye West's first album and
Yes.
hip hop changed my life. I didn't even
Yeah.
know what hip hop
Hip
was.
hop, Eminem, I mean, all these amazing, like, that time when hip hop and rap was booming, and VH1 and MTV, that made my life. And
I love
so I think that was how I really harness, the Leo energy. And even now, actually, more recently,
And
I
hip
entered
hop
into
is a
some
Leo, by the way.
hip hop.
Yeah, it was born Leo season.
Really? That
Yeah.
is so cool. Yeah, so I think And like I resonate with you in this like the podcasting arena where like when I was in college I did a little bit of an R&B and hip hop radio station as
Nice.
well, and that was really fun. Of course I have like no stuff to show from that era of my life, but it was such
That's
a
cool.
powerful time. I,
Couple
I called
memories.
myself I called myself DJ Catastrophe, and my byline was like bringing the mayhem to your eardrum.
I love that. I love that. Gemini
It
and our
was great.
taglines. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like how
it
they
was a
just
good time.
so I definitely all right. Now let's get this
I know.
let's
I
get
know.
this
Where do
out
we
the
go?
way. Okay, so we know Kanye West is back with a number one album and hit. Gunna has dropped a hit. His
Mm,
daughter Northwest is coming out with an album. Kendrick Lamar is in the news right now for dissing two of the
yes.
greatest rappers. Trump is running again. Gemini is back. How do you feel?
Gemini.
Gemini is back. This is
So good, like I
yep.
feel like I stumbled across an old video recently of Tupac. Somebody asked him how it felt to be a Gemini, and I couldn't tell if it was like an AI generated video because I just can't believe how self-aware he is. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
He
yeah.
was so bright. He was so
Oh yeah,
bright. And
yeah.
God, it feels so good. Like I just love Kendrick Lamar's energy, and like Kanye's been through so much, and Biggie, and like
Biggie, yep.
just all of this energy that Gemini has brought in history. And I just
Shaking it
I
up.
thank I thank God, because
Mhm.
it's time for these messages to be heard and received. It's time for the angels to be just held in their value
Mhm.
for why we're here and the energy that we've been embodying. We came here
Absolutely.
for this. We knew it was going to be hard, and it's
Yeah.
been hard.
It feels like we're passing go and collecting 200. Like the last time.
I just made a Monopoly reference like yesterday.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love it. The
yeah.
last time we were here was like 2011, 2012, and that was when all the zeitgeist and all these theories that later were proven to be right started coming out.
That's right. And I had such an awakening during that year. I don't know about you, but man, my
That was when I started doing
awareness
astrology.
really.
I got a reading from Chris Witecki and he was
Oh,
David Lawrence Palmer. That was my first astrology reading, and that's when I was like, "Oh my god, this is it. This is the holy
that
grail."
is so
Appreciate
cool. I
it.
I have to get a reading from David someday. It's been on my list.
It's one of the best readings I've ever had to date, and that was over 10 years ago. It was the everything he said still rings true, and it was when Jupiter was just coming into Gemini. It was a
Oh
destiny.
my God. Oh my God. And
And I'm
now
meant to
now here we
expose
are
the truth
again.
like never before. Yeah, now here we are, and that's so
Now here we
like
are again.
what was that past 12 years like for you? I know for me, it really it's how I became the peace dealer. And it's such the people who I've started this path with who've fallen off, who are still here, but just the
Hmm.
growth and development. I mean, it led me to all of you guys. So I'm just so
Yeah.
excited moving forward.
Yeah, and I want to hear like those things too about your journey, because when I came across your channel, I was just like, this guy is the real deal.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, the past 12 years, of course, have been, radical and just insanely transformative for myself on so many levels. I mean,
Yeah.
just to give you like some footnotes, I know I mentioned I had been married and divorced, but
What
I
was his
left
sign?
he was a Cancer sun, but he was Leo moon and rising.
Oh,
And he was a Jersey boy, singer, songwriter, producer who actually really loves Kanye West and wanted to follow that just free creative
that's
flow of
awesome.
of being like Kanye.
Yeah. Shout out to him.
Shout out to him, yeah. And so I realized, we were just sort of on different spiritual journeys,
Yeah.
after the fact, after 2 years of being married. And I met a very intuitive Australian man online. And I flew to Australia, and I got divorced while I was overseas, had some incredible esoteric awakenings. I was studying telepathy and telekinesis and levitation, and just we were reading all of
Wow.
like the dark, and the light metaphysical books, as much secret information I could get my hands on. I was studying during my time in Australia. This was around early 2018.
Oh, nice.
And
Oh, Jupiter was in Scorpio going over your rising. So that was like your
that's
first.
right.
That's
That's
wild.
right. That's
Okay.
right. That's right. And I had a galactic astrology reading by a man named Graham Forscott, who's New Zealand based, who's very similar to like Ra with human design. And
Okay.
he gave me this progressed galactic astrology reading, and Hawaii was an asteroid right on my midheaven. And I had been deciding where to go next. And I
Mm.
had a girlfriend from college that was living here in Maui, and I'd never traveled before, really. I'd only traveled really within kind
Was
of like
this
the
like
States.
2021, 2022?
This was still 2018.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Well, good to know.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so almost 6 years ago, I moved to Maui. And it's just been an insane awakening being here, connecting with the plants and the animals and all the hippie people and spiritual people here. And I actually went through the Lahaina fires recently and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
survived that, which was wild.
yeah. And
So
then the 6 years from Jupiter Scorpio to Jupiter Taurus represents, if it's a 12-year cycle, you finish that first part. You've evolved your personality. Now you're getting ready for greater relationships in the seventh house. So all
yeah.
power to you. That I wonder what it's
Uh,
like that Uranus in your seventh right now and Jupiter.
yeah, to be real with you, it has been challenging.
Mm.
It has been, I think this is the first relationship, honestly, that I've really been able to look at myself and humble myself enough to know that I don't know everything when it comes to life and relationships and just
Deep.
everything in general, like God, only God really knows. I think I'm really in this place right now where it's like I thought, with a Virgo moon at the 29th degree, I thought I had control over deciding who I was gonna love and who I was gonna be with and how. And
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. The
and
how.
I and I and I totally feel like God is, this whole experience with Uranus there is just like it is transforming me, man. Like,
I love that. That's awesome.
yeah.
So now we're back. Geminis are clearly making a roar, and we didn't even get started yet. So, I mean, so many variables. What do you feel like this next cycle is looking like now that Pluto's in Aquarius?
Yeah, I feel well, with our North Node being in Aquarius, especially, I just feel like this
Ah,
is the time for us to
it,
just, yeah, go on. Yeah, you're so excited. I know. I was excited. And I actually have Saturn. I have Saturn here as well. So I have opposite what you got going on in that I
right.
have Saturn kind of close to my North Node in that third, fourth house area. And yeah, so Pluto's been conjunct my Saturn over these past 2 years. And
That's been intense.
it's been intense. And it's interesting too because as soon as Pluto went into Aquarius, like that sibling rivalry really started to activate. And um yeah, like just experiencing so much healing. But Aquarius for me is really about us like honing in on our genius of service and just being so like, what's the word, not eclectic but just like different, just really letting our freak flag fly. Letting ourselves
Unpeeling those
be.
layers of social expectations and what we're supposed to be, and just feels like a new wild west in a way. So much potential, and yeah, and I feel like previous to before, our age, we've
Hmm.
learned all the lessons that we needed to learn, so it's just like we don't have that burden anymore, and it's
Oh, thank God.
yeah.
It's like that was heavy for so long, I felt, for us.
And I feel like we're late bloomers too with the Capricorn, so you know i'm I'm just excited to show what we got. And
Yeah, I've always felt that way, like a late bloomer, like I was late to the party. I was describing that to someone recently where I was like, I feel like I'm the type of person that's like wanting to be on par with all these man gens and I can't catch up. And maybe that's because we're not supposed to. We're
exactly,
supposed to be going at our own pace.
yeah. Plus, we're in our own worlds too. I would say that. Um, that's what I noticed. Like the more that I love myself, the more that I really came to understand and know myself, the more I appreciate other Geminis. It's like, oh wow, I'm looking at my
Hmm.
now, and I always liked Gemini, but I appreciate it so much more.
Mm.
I've never met a single Gemini I've had a real issue with that I didn't identify with. I know a lot of it's my first house, but like, yeah,
Hmm.
it's been very interesting. So
Yeah, I kind of resonate with that. I'm also curious, like, what part of your chart you feel has to do with like your humor, because I know Gemini can be very funny, very quick-witted, but you are so funny. Like sometimes I tune into your energy and I'm like, this is the truth and it's hilarious.
thank you, thank you. I learned the ninth house is comedy, so I feel like the ninth
Oh
house
yeah.
cap is the dry humor, but
Mm-hmm.
the Gemini, my Gemini be unhinged. It just,
Yeah.
circulates ideas. I catch myself laughing at the most unfunny jokes like all day.
The references, there was a reference you made in one of your moon messages the other day that I commented on that was so funny, and I can't remember it right now, but it was something
I remember the
regarding,
comment too. I'm trying to.
yeah, something about, what did you say? Oh, you were talking about fantasy football. You were like, these
Yeah,
people that
they know their fantasy football team, but not their moon sign, and then they're getting at people like, "Oh, you believe in astrology?" And it's like, "Fam, you
that
can't believe
see
like
that's this is funny
wrong."
because I'll share with you that and hopefully eventually I'll get to share this with the man that I'm dating, because he has a Capricorn moon as well, and he's a
Oh,
fan
he's the
and he's
great
a
one.
and so he's a fantasy footballer too, and he's not quite. I haven't had an opportunity to dive into sharing his natal chart with him yet. We're still accessing the proper birth time.
Okay.
But he, as far as like AM or PM goes, he very well might be an Aries rising versus a Libra rising, or
Okay. Yeah,
yeah, we're not
the
sure.
Cap Moon Aries Sun is the great one. I love that archetype.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a very strong individual,
yes.
very very brave.
What year was he born?
He's in 1985.
Oh, so he has Jupiter, Aquarius, North Node, Taurus. That's awesome.
Yeah.
T Pain
Hmm.
was born there. 85 is a really unique year to me.
It
Um,
is.
yeah,
It
most
is. It's always felt very magical to me as well. 1985. My parents were married in 1985 on Cinco de
definitely.
Mayo.
Nice. Cinco de Mayo. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, they're born a day and a year apart, Geminis. Both Geminis, my
A
parents.
day and a year apart. I love that. Okay.
It's
Like
crazy.
early 60s, late 60s, 70s.
Late 50s. So they were they're May 28th and May 29th, 1958, 1957.
Oh, it sounds like Pluto Leo. That's deep.
Yeah, yeah, they're super deep. My mom, I think, is North Node Libra. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, mom and dad, North Node Libra. Yeah.
That's super awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, this evolution cycle, I because it's also bringing in, the next generation, the next crop of souls that are meant to lead. It just feels like now there's just no more, not that there were limits before, but it's just like no more holding back is the vibe I get. Like it's time to
No, because these generations that are coming in are just no BS. They're coming
Mhm.
in and they're able to read when someone is not being for real or authentic straight away. So they're calling out the elders now, and then the elders have to be like humble enough to be like, oh, we're not as wise as we think we are as far as what this reality is.
True that. True that. It's always nice to be held accountable. And yeah, I mean, it's great to be a part of what's happening now and seeing one world end coming into the next world. What would you say? Because we do have your website down below. I see
Mm-hmm.
some people have subscribed to your channel. What would
Oh,
you say
thanks.
is your approach towards reading charts?
Yeah, it's very go with the flow.
Okay.
It's very go with the flow. It's just the way that I've always worked. I tend to be attracted to the Chiron and the North and South Node placements as like pivotal points, also the Saturn placements. Um, yeah, just very intuitive based on each individual. experience, it ranges like with what comes through for me because we have so much, or I have so many different gifts to offer people in my readings. Like sometimes people's past loved ones will come through, or I will read their past lives or their childhood
Right.
experiences, or what they could be embracing at this current time or where they're going in the future. It's endless. Oh, what's up, Jax?
Yep. Shout out to Jax, 90 gang,
Shut
90
up.
gang. Word. Yeah. I like how we all are finding each other as well. Getting ready to move forward, a lot more renewed. Um, I How do you feel as far as like this impact on? I know we talked about gifts like blossoming and everything, but I also get the sense that there's like this major unexpected, unconventional expansion of like abilities and psychic powers too. Like we all just wake up like, hey, this is true now. Like we're just accepting. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
moving stuff with our minds, cool. It's like, we always could have done this, but now we're like coming things. So yeah, I feel like a lot of that has to, and that's why I feel like a lot of that is tied with Gemini, because a lot of that will involve individuals around the world sharing their individual experiences. Like everyone on this planet has had a psychic experience, has had a supernatural experience, has related that
Hmm.
to coincidence, has said it was this god, that god. Now we're in this age of knowledge where I feel like we can all we've never had a period in the world where people can communicate their experiences online or through forums. And I think that's going to really mark a lot of this cycle where people start to come out the spiritual closet. I've always felt my whole life no one's really a muggle. Everyone's just in the closet, spiritually. They don't want to share these things because they don't want to be
Yeah.
called crazy or seen as weird. But
Yeah, exactly. I think you're so in part, especially when you're doing your moon messages and you speak to these parts. It really has resonated with me as far as like these gifts that are about to come online. When you ask me the question, how I do my readings, I really feel a little bit like apprehensive because I feel like it's changing now. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It's
yeah,
like I'm not even sure I can speak to the how it's being done or how it's going to be done because of this energy that you're speaking of. It's almost like
still very
I'm
new.
totally, yeah, I'm totally open to what, God has in store for us as far as like how we're moving in the world with sharing our abilities from here on out. I just feel like it's going to be so mind blowing.
Mind blowing, I think, is the right word. Um,
Yeah,
there's what we expect, and then there's what's gonna happen, which I think is just
exactly.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like with Uranus playing such a major role in the collective astrology right now, it's just it can't be predicted really, and we want to with astrology. We want to be able to predict every single thing.
Right. No, for real. And it's nice to be right sometimes. It's also nice to be surprised and be like, "Oh, this is like," and that's what I've noticed is like I'll usually be right on what's gonna happen, but how it
Hmm.
happens, it's like I didn't think it would happen like this. I didn't think it would happen like, and it's still
Yeah,
like wow.
yeah, exactly.
And so Pluto rising is the Kundalini rising, the Kundalini goddess, Kundalini god, and so aspect instrument, that purity, that intensity. I've noticed people who have that are into yoga or into these like Kundalini practices. Um,
Hmm.
Now that Pluto is in Aquarius, what I've realized that 2008 through 2024 was really big for Pluto Libra, people born in the 80s and the late 70s. And we saw them carry like a lot of these actions kind of push forward the world. I feel
Hmm.
like it's our turn. Like the Pluto
Yeah,
Scorpios. What do you feel about that coming square? Like I'm looking at Drake. Drake has Pluto 1 degree Scorpio and his is getting squared. All the people born in like 86, 84,
yeah,
85. I'm looking at them first because they're the first ones to go through it. So
right.
I can only imagine ours is going to be the most intense, given the
Yeah,
theirs was the most practical, but
I
yeah,
saw your post about Drake, and I was kind of picking up on the energy of what you were pointing at, but I'd be curious to hear like what you're predicting there with Drake, because it's almost like I get this energy of like what's happened to Biden, you know, with like how,
Exactly.
you
Trump,
know,
Gemini, Biden, Scorpio, Drake, Scorpio.
yeah, exactly. So like I'm kind of like I'm kind of like shoots like is Drake, you know, about to transcend in
This
a way
could
that
be the
he
year that Gemini overtakes Scorpio. It's all good. I don't want to speak too soon, but it's
I
this.
don't want to I don't want to evil laugh, right? It's like ha
Yeah,
ha ha. But it's like it is kind of like, you know, if Gemini is, you know, representing the light of the world, you know, the light of heaven, that
yeah.
connection, that bridge between heaven and earth
The truth,
here.
the
Then
communication.
and then if, you know, if Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the underworld, and it's, you know, it's Hermes against Hades,
And
it's like,
let me kind of and I hate to interrupt. Let me kind of like
no, please.
clarify that, because
Yeah.
when I do say Scorpio versus Gemini, Scorpio also exposes the truth. Like Scorpio in its integrity is one of the best
Mm,
ever. Like it takes what Gemini revealed, and Scorpio reveals the deeper layers. So we mean in the sense where the Scorpio archetypes like Diddy, like Biden, that keep all this dark shit hidden. We don't want to,
right.
like Scorpio, we see you. Like Gemini,
No,
Scorpio is
no
so important
shame.
together.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
exposing that darkness of the hidden Scorpio for
Well,
sure is definitely
Scorpios, they've been through so much, you know,
the
if
South
especially
Node, all
if you're a Scorpio sun as well, it's like I witness, you know, my Scorpio brothers and sisters with that sun in Scorpio, and it's just so it's such a raw existence and state of being. And to have a rising sign here, I do feel that connection.
that. Yeah.
So I do feel like, you know, however you view it, you could say that it, you know, life is happening to us for us. It's bringing us to places where we're meant to go for our karmic experience and our, you know, up leveling.
To kind of speak to that, I see Kendrick Lamar as like water, and I see Drake as Coke. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
know, straight up, like if we did not have Coca-Cola, it'd be pretty boring. Like you need that pop, right? That fizz. Like everyone can act like, oh, they're healthy. Sometimes you want to drink a juice. Sometimes you want to drink a soda, right? Whereas the water is good for you. And I feel like that's been a major criticism of Drake. He's a
Yeah.
super purely talented. I've been listening
Yeah.
to him since his mixtapes. Like he
I
has.
love Drake.
Right. He's fought. He's really good at what he does. Masterly arising.
Yeah.
The thing we haven't think people criticize him for is he doesn't always speak up about important issues, which is the
Mm-hmm.
smartest thing he's ever done. But still,
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing. Like it's hard to relate to him. I think this Pluto square is going to really unearth that. It gives us an opportunity to see a much deeper side of Drake. To see, or he can get caught up in his ego, and that can really just kind of like, because the Pluto
It
is
could
also
trip
radio
him.
rising as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It could definitely call him out in a way that's, you know, maybe far too uncomfortable for the ego. Um,
The fourth
to
house.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of, you know, that role in acting that he played in that TV show Degrassi,
Oh yeah, wheelchair Jimmy.
where yeah, so it's almost like, you know, you don't want to, and then all of a sudden I'm finding like correlations between him and like what David Palmer's been saying about Epstein Island and all that.
Oh my God, yeah,
There's too much like messed up stuff. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there for
absolutely.
those with Pluto and Libra and the Pluto and Scorpio.
Yeah. Just letting it completely like demolish those old structures and move forward. It's clashing ideologies. I think so many things have been coexisting. So many opposing elements have been coexisting, and now they're finally like clashing as they're meant to.
Right.
No more fakeness, no more facetiousness, things getting out in the open. Yeah, I'm speaking about rap in this context, but in the sense where it applies to everything else: politics, world drama, and
Mm-hmm.
the North Node in Aries is going to help everyone play their individual role, because we all have a role to play. That's what the South
Mm-hmm.
Node Libra, I feel like, is saying, is like, don't just be a spectator watching everything
Mm.
that's happening. you
Mm-hmm.
have an individual role to play that's all going to completely ripple effect and connect together. Even as even an extra is needed in that movie, or a movie won't be complete. So, very, very powerful. I think we're going to see through challenge a lot more evolution of everyone being challenged. But I'm also petty as hell. I want to see Geminis just step on everyone's necks and just destroy everything this year.
Well, this is so funny because like my Leo, I have a Leo midheaven,
Yeah,
so it's like I want Gemini's. There's a part of me that wants to be, Gemini likes to be seen, likes to be social, and so there is a gratification in that embodiment.
yeah,
And oh, I really liked the way that you were describing that Libra Aries axis point and how important that is right now as far as approaching our place in the world because you know, I guess you could say a shadow aspect of Libra would be wanting to not rock the boat, not
exactly,
wanting to like involve oneself for the sake of, riling up some sort of chaotic energy and the
exactly.
fear of not being involved or not wanting to participate. And so I think it's really cool that you called that out because you're absolutely right. Like, and nobody is able to take action better than Aries.
Yeah,
And it's that I think it's that Aries Mars within us as well that
yeah.
really act that
It's
really
go time. It's
activates.
go time, right?
It's go time. I'm just like, yeah, baby. I'm like Aries North Node, but I mean conjunct Chiron. It's like, ouch, but we're
Especially
gonna
when
do
it
it.
feels like you're sitting on. Did it feel like that last time too? Like the last 12 years, it's like, let me in the game, coach. And the coach is like, chill, chill, chill. Not yet, not yet, not yet. And it's
Oh,
all right,
oh man,
time
yeah.
to
Oh
start.
man. Yeah, and I do feel like I kind of like was licking my wounds from that
Yeah,
aspect in a way, especially with my Scorpio rising, kind of like maybe speaking too soon or speaking truth too
right.
sharply.
I like that you said too soon too, as far as like
Yeah.
before people are
Yeah.
ready. Absolutely.
I mean, there were times within my family dynamic that I definitely did that, kind
And
of
too
like
sharply
blew
too. Sometimes it
yeah,
gets
I kind of blew some lids. And my mom actually messaged me recently. I'm doing a little bit of studying for something, and I was telling her, yeah, I'm cutting up my textbook glossary, and she was like, I hope that's a study tactic and not a destructive way of being. So, you have a mom that understands you. She's like,
yeah.
yeah, you're not being destructive, are you?
I love that. Ah, yeah. Like was said, I would definitely love to collab again. I'll invite you back on this
Oh,
channel.
thank you.
So
I
much.
would be honored. This has been so much fun.
And yeah, I mean, is there any before we kind of close, I have your link down below. How can people
Mhm.
reach you and schedule a reading with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, totally. You guys can just go to astrologerbabe.com. It's astrologer with an R, not astrology.
Mm,
And you're welcome to book there with me. I'm not having that issue on my Instagram with that AI DM collab issue that most people like yourself probably have when people DM for readings. So
yeah,
you guys are welcome to DM me to schedule the book, as long as you check my Instagram name. I will
yeah.
not ask you for a reading, but you're welcome to book with me via Instagram Messenger.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy. I'm almost convinced Instagram did that on purpose, so it's like they have to buy the blue check mark now.
Dude, and I've been so shadow banned since the beginning of the pandemic. I don't know about you, but even if I
Oh yeah, shadow
utilize
banning.
like organic, marketing tools, I still have such major shadow ban issues on my
So,
feed. But
but what?
yeah, what'd you say?
Well,
I
that's what conflicted me too, because it's like, why would I pay ad money if you're actively shadow banning me? That doesn't make
I
sense. Like,
Well, I think what I'm testing, to be honest with you, is I'm trying to get because you've got maybe 25,000 followers on your Instagram. For me, I haven't even been able to get myself out there enough. So what my tactic is, if I get my Instagram to the 10 grand, followers, then you can start doing subscriptions, and
Oh,
I'm trying to activate that to switch
I
into
didn't know you needed
something.
10K. That's interesting. Oh,
Apparently, I was trying to read the guidelines and stuff, so I'm playing with the marketing, you know, I'm testing the waters here just to play with it. And so that felt resonant for someone like myself, where I was
that's
just like, let me see what I can do, you
yeah.
know.
And the what rose a lot of my follower count was posting memes after just reposting memes all through the pandemic period. I was on fire.
Really,
Yeah.
really, yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me. You're a meme magician, and you're funny as heck. So
My plugs are
that
fire.
makes yeah, you are funny, man. So I that makes sense to me.
Well, glad to have you once again. Is there any final word of wisdom for anybody, anyone who may be listening on this
Hmm.
path? What they can move forward with?
Just know that you're not alone in this. Every single person who's alive right now has areas and moments where they feel deeply alone. So, especially for all you sensitive folk like myself out there,
Hmm.
just know that, like all of us, we are banding together more and more as time passes. And the more that we come together in connection, the more that, you know, we're going to be able to make all of this enlightenment stuff pop in the world, become a better place.
Enlightenment, that's the name of the game this year. This is a crazy year of revelation, and so much stuff that was not on my bingo book was crossed out just the first 3 months. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't
Beyonce
agree
having a
more.
Twitter, you know what I mean? Or Beyonce having a Twitch page and channel, amongst other things. Like really
So
awesome.
weird.
Just didn't see
Yeah,
it ever.
so
Um,
weird.
yeah. But thank you so much again for joining.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun. Really honored to talk to you. Thanks so much.
All right. And you guys have a blessed weekend. And we will see you coming into the next week. Peace out.